I was there. I'm back here now.
All right, cool. We'll play it hopefully by ear, but hopefully it's working okay. How you been, Matt?
All's very well. All's good. Can't complain.
Good, mate. Good. So, mate, I've got sort of straight off the bat. I imagine you get this question all the time, but the roly-poly kid, where's that coming from?
Because he used to be a proper fat little bastard when I was younger. I was 17 stone when I was 17, and then I lost it all through fighting pretty much.
Jesus, going from 17 stone to a middleweight. That is
I went
incredible.
from 17 stone to welterweight, and I thought welterweight for years, and then I cut. Well, I had my first fight just before my 18th birthday at welterweight, and then as I started to get older, the weight cuts started getting harder and harder because my body started to fill out a bit more as you're getting your man strength. Do you know what I mean? So I just got to the point where I'm stuck in the middle ground where I'm slightly too small for middleweight, but I'm too big for welterweight. So like if there was 81 kilograms or something like that, if they had introduced more weight categories, that'd be perfect for me.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the fighters they find themselves in that little sort of middle ground area where, like I say, too big for one, too small for the other, and you kind of got to make that sacrifice. But I imagine you'd always choose
Because
the
it's because the
to be.
jumps are so substantial. If you go from featherweight to lightweight, it's 5 kilograms. If you go from lightweight to welterweight, it's 7 kilograms. If you go from welterweight to middleweight, it's 7 kilograms. And if you go from middleweight to light heavyweight, it's 9 kilograms. It's too big a jump, man.
Yeah, that is, mate. Like obviously you train closely with Brad in terms of when you're training together. Obviously he fights for a light heavyweight. You're now at middleweight. Could you imagine fighting somebody in terms of like strength and size, and how does it compare when you two are training together?
Well, obviously Brad's very very strong. He's come from a bodybuilding background, so he's done loads of strength training over the years. He's obviously a lot stronger than me, not as technically profound, but he's getting there. He's learning well. He's got a good stable lads to train with to get better. Do you know what I mean? He's got the likes of myself that's been 12-year veteran. Richie Knox is maybe 13-year vet, 13, 14, maybe even longer. And he's a black belt. Then there's Joe Calbutin. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Of course.
Even though he's only had 2 pro fights, I've trained with Joe for 11 years. So he's got a lot of experience there, Brad, straight away. And like I've trained with some of the best people in the UK for years. You know what I mean? So I know what standard he's at. That he's come on leaps and bounds. But he's a big lad.
Hey, mate, yeah, sorry, broke out for a split second there. So as you were just sort of saying, you've trained with some really high level fighters and some real up and comers, which you've been around the circuits, man. You fought in some big shows, the Bellator, the Cage Warriors. You've had some tough fights, but you've always sort of bounced back from there. For you, mate, your last fight was for MMA Total Combat at their 79 show. You're fighting on the 81 show as well.
The one at the end of the month?
Yeah, is that right?
No, I was supposed to, but unfortunately, some possible bad news about me father. I was supposed to be, but unfortunately, there's some possible bad news about my father. So we're just waiting here back on some test results, and it'll be the couple of days before the fight. So I just decided where I've plenty of time to fight. I'll reschedule a fight after we hear further information.
Sorry, mate, can you just repeat that cut out a little bit there? Can you just repeat? So what actually, you were scheduled to fight on the 31st, but what happened?
Well, my father a couple of years ago had bladder and prostate cancer, and he had to get both removed. And then recently he's went for a checkup, and they found a couple of inflamed lymph nodes in his stomach, some in his kidneys, and somewhere else. It could all well be an infection, but we get the results 2 days before the fight, and my head is a little bit up in the ass about the whole thing. And then obviously I would hate for it to be 2 days before the fight, get some bad news, and then have to pull from the fight. And my opponent done all the hard training, and then for that to happen, do you know what I mean? So I just thought I'd notified him there a couple of weeks ago just to make sure that he hadn't done all the hard work for fuck all either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, mate, that's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that, man. But like you say, hopefully it's nothing to.
All being well, it's just an infection, which it could be.
Yeah.
But going off of what happened a couple of years ago, I've the rest. I've loads of time to fight. I've already had 2 fights this year. I had loads
Yeah.
last year. I was busy. Do you know what I mean? So I can afford to be a little bit selfish with my time.
No, man, that's it. And, fair play to you. A lot of fighters wouldn't have said anything. They would have kept training and then pulled out 2 days before. So completely fair play to you on that one, mate.
Well, I kept when we first found out a couple of years ago about him having the cancer. That was around Christmas time, and that's when I got offered the fight on Cage Warriors against Lee Chadwick. And the week of 2 or 3 days before the fight, my dad had major surgery, which I was saying bye to him in Ireland, not knowing if I would see him alive or dead again, which was a bit of a head fuck. So I didn't want to go through the whole same scenario again. So, like I said, all being well, fingers crossed, it's all good news, but it's a waiting game, man. So I just thought I'll not be selfish and I'll be a bit selfish with my time, but also not selfish enough to let my opponent do all the training and then for me I have to pull out.
Fair play to you, mate. Like I said, you've been in the game for a long time now. You said you've been fighting sort of 12 years. You're now, what, 29 years of age?
29 now, man.
You're not even at your prime yet. So, for these next few years, these are kind of like the pinnacle years for yourself. Is there a plan in place, or is it, you're still one fight at a time like it was back in the beginning?
Well, what I was advised to do is get a couple of wins in my record. Me and Joe were both offered contracts with Bellator. And but because of where my record was at the time, it was 8-5. I only want 5-6 more good fights. I'm a 12-year veteran now, man. I've had loads of bad injuries. I only want 5-6 more good fights for me, and then that'll be me hang up the gloves. So get a couple of wins, sign me contract, and then have some fucking mint paggers to finish it all off. That's my intentions, man. That's because it's shit the politics behind the fight now, man, where it's people only care about your winning. They don't care about your performance. That's the shit thing. Everything revolves around that W. Like, of all my opponents, like, no disrespect to my last opponent, on paper he was anywhere near the caliber of what my previous opponents have been. But the fact that I had a belt wrapped around my shoulder, that's the one I got the most credit for out of all my fights.
No, I can imagine it's a great feeling. I imagine it's great. And like you say, look, the chap that you fought, he wasn't at a caliber of some of the other fighters. A guy I'm very close with, Jack Collins, he fought the same fighter and finished him. He was like an 11-second guillotine. So I get that, but at the same time, you can only fight to your opponent, and anything can happen in a fight. You've been in a tough fight.
I understand that, but it's the fact that I was never about just winning. I started fighting by pure fluke. I fell into this because a friend of mine wouldn't go by himself to the gym, and I went with him. And then I started fighting and I loved it. I was never about the winning for me. As long as I went in and I put on a good performance and people loved to watch me fight, man, that's all I cared about. It means fuck all, really. But like, I've had 17, 18 fights now, and I think 13 or 14 of them I got Fight of the Night awards. And for me, that means something where people actually want to watch me fight. Like, one of the best examples is Ross Pearson, man. Like, I was
mate, yeah, real deal. He had some tough fights.
I was a fan before I was a friend. You know what I mean? His style, man. Look at the people he's fought against, and he'll not get the recognition because he's lost a couple of close decisions. He fought Barboza. He definitely beat Barboza. He got robbed of Diego Sanchez. He went to decision on Masvidal at welterweight. He's a beast, man. And
100%.
His class to watch. He's a fella I would watch 100% of the time.
Yeah, and he fought the best of the best. Like I said, like Diego, he fought Ally Quinn. So, that was a tough night for him. His last fight with Bobby Green. Yeah,
might have knocked out Sam Stout with a massive left hook.
Yeah. How's Ross doing now in the boxing game? I saw last time I saw he won his debut. Has he fought since then?
No, he's fighting again now sometime soon.
Is he still based out in Australia now?
Oh, he lives out there full time now, man. He's just built a house and that. He lives out there with Christy and his little girl Gracie.
Mate, that's quality. I remember seeing Ross on Ultimate Fighter, UK versus US, and the fact that they were kind of overlooking the UK team, and the fact then he fought Andre Winner in the final, so it was an English final, and then James Wilkes beat Dimitri Marcus.
I believe that was Clay Guida, or not? No, was it Roger? No, it was Clay Guida and Diego Sanchez was the main event. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. So it was a tough one, and then UFC 100 was the week after or 2 weeks after.
It was class. He's a good man, Ross. He's granted me some wicked opportunities, man. He's flew me out to Australia a couple of times, getting ready for fights. I got to corner him a few times. I got to meet some of my favorite fighters all through Ross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a great lad, man. Very, very
He,
good.
he legitimately is the real deal. And sort of talking about the whole winning records and stuff, you got to think right now, sort of the two hottest commodities in the MMA game after last weekend is Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. Their records are not amazing. You know, they've got some losses on there, but fans still love them because they put it on there, like you're saying yourself.
That's what it should be about. Like, that's all well and good. It's great having champions in that, man. Like, everyone would love to be a champion. But you have to understand, not everybody's going to be the champion. But you need people that's going to be there that fucking puts on fights. Look at Diego Sanchez, for example. Even though his record's actually really, really good, surprisingly, people think he's fucking lost a lot more than what he actually has.
Yeah.
But every time he turns up the fight, man, that's all I care about when I fight. As long as I go and I do myself justice and I don't I put on a good pagger and people say, fucking hell, that was mint.
Mate, that's at the end of the day, that's what MMA is about. Look, it's a business, and you need people to push it. You need the undefeated, like the Khabibs and whoever else. You need these people, but the fan favourites, the ones who, you know, off the top of my head, like I said, right now, Diaz, Masvidal, these are the fighters
of all the fights in the world I want to see, that's the one I want to see the most.
Yeah, I think like Nate's record Jorge's record in MMA is like, you know, it's close. It's not the best record. It's like 17-11 or something like mad like that. It might be more. It might be in the 30s. I need to double check. Maybe that's his UFC record. But that's what I mean. Those are the fights that people want to see. You know, when you see fights like this past weekend, you know, with Nate coming back after 3 years and stuff like that. As a fan, what did you make of his performance?
Badass, man. To come and do that, like, me personally, I've had a lot of offsets through injuries and stuff, and I haven't could be able to compete for a few years at a time, a couple of times. I never really believed in ring rust. I always believed that how comfortable you actually are with combat. And Nate's very, very comfortable with it. He's not bothered. Do you know what I mean? Some people have to. That's why you see loads of people that they really have to get super aggressive before the fight. You get some people walking happy as I. You get some people shit. Like, look at Fedor. It looked like he was just going for a walk in the park. Do you know what I mean? Some people just have that coolness in him, and he's just made the pagger. Class, man. Because like, all being well, I think now that you hear that Pettis has broke his foot, that's maybe he's changed it to an extent, but still, man, to have 3 years off, come back in against Pettis, who's still full of confidence off a big knockout. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, I said it against when he fought Wonderboy, and I said it against it. He looked undersized, but obviously you can't fault him for doing horrible cuts to that. When he went to 45, I thought that was a big mistake for Pettis. I think it was just too much for him. I think he's the sort of guy who, if there was like a 162, if it was like a boxing term, wasn't always in fives. If it was like a 162 kind of weight class, that's where Pettis would shine. 100%. But mate, you got to respect to him. But all fair play to that.
But going back to Pettis, look at Pettis. He's lost his past. Not lost. He's lost a few fights recently. Obviously, got beat off Ferguson and he's lost that fight at the weekend. But now his progression is not going to be anywhere near as good. But even though all the fights have been fucking mint.
Yeah, like the fight against Dustin Poirier, that was a war. Got a fight against Tony Ferguson, war. He lost those fights. People remember him, though, for being an absolute savage.
That's it, man. You want to be known as a badass.
Mate, completely agree. Do completely agree with that. In regards to, sort of, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got to MTK Newcastle. Give me a little history on that.
Well, it's beforehand it was called Bad Boy Gyms. We Richie Knox and a couple other ones opened that gym a few years ago, and our coach Pete at the time, he also was coaching there. So me and Ryan Roddy, we started training out of there. And then once Pete left, me and Ryan just took over as the coaches from there. And then Richie obviously comes and coaches us boys in the morning, but then we coach most of the classes in the evening. Ryan Roddy's not there anymore. He's back in Ireland. But there's me and a couple of other lads. Joe Calbutin coaches a few classes. Patrick Tucker's got the BJJ. So it's good, man. It is good. It's a very, very good facility. Got some good up and comers coming through. Like we're not anywhere near as established as a fight team as well as the likes of Andrew Fisher's gym down at TFT or Alex Allen's gym, because I haven't been coaching for the same length of time as what they have. I was only training for years. Wherever since I trained with Alex and Fisher years ago, they already had their own fight teams. So like they've had the likes of Louis Monarch and a few lads training. Well, Fisher's had Louis Monarch and that training for a few years, quite a few years. So he's got a well-established team now, man. Fisher's doing very, very well.
Well, that's it. You're coaching, but you're also juggling your own fight career. And like you say, you've taken breaks, but you've got the up and comers like Joe. Brad's still fresh in the game. You had another guy, chap. He won his debut at Total Combat 79. Young kid. I cannot remember his name. I'll try and remember it. But it looks like there's quite a few guys from MTK Newcastle sort of having the platform at Total Combat. Is that just through connections or just because of location?
So connections, and it's a local enough show. Like MMA seems to have died a death. As popular as what it is, the fight shows have disappeared, man.
Mm.
And what I put it down to is the fact that the pros aren't getting the chance to progress, because a lot of these shows aren't putting on pro fights anymore, because they're just filling the cards full of amateur fights.
Yeah.
Because they're as close to looking like a professional fight to, like, all people really care about in MMA is wanting to see ground and pound. And the fact that they can put a show full of amateur fighters on, not have to pay them, and then maybe put one pro fight on, for the likes of myself, that's shit. How are we meant to progress? Because they don't want to fork out a full pro card anymore. Very rare you'll see a fight card now with 5-6 pro fights. True. Like when I first moved to the Northeast, for example, I've been here 11 years now. When I first moved, there was Strike and Submit, which became Supremacy, which was quite a big show. That had some wicked fights on. Then there was a show called Optimus that came to the arena. Cage Warriors obviously came up here. Bama's been here a few times. Then you had Pain and Glory that was here. There was another show, NFL. There was loads of fight shows. Now they've all went skew-off. Made for the Cage, just have shoes on all the time. They don't have it as much anymore.
Yeah, mate. What about in terms of yourself? Obviously, I know MTK MMA are putting on shows. There's one September 7th in Liverpool. But would you ever look to do maybe a show yourself, like MTK Newcastle presents, or?
Oh, we've had two of them. I fought in two of them.
But in terms of like going forward, like after the fight career, you said you want to fight 5-6 more times. That's something you could see yourself doing, sort of long term, full time.
Coaching.
Putting on shows as well, coaching and putting on shows.
No, too much stress putting on shows, man. I'll happily coach the lads and get them ready for their fights, but I have no interest in running shows, man. MMA is so fickle.
It is a fickle sport.
It's not like boxing where you get pull-outs left, right, and centre, and then you get loads of lads that pull out just for the sake of it. Like, we had one lad weighed in for a fight. His opponent also weighed in, and then the lad didn't turn up for a fight.
Yeah, mate. So I saw it the other day. I was at a show around my way. Jay Shepherd, he was fighting, and his opponent was in the arena all day, ready for the fight. And about 2 fights before their fight was meant to happen, he bolted. He just left the building, turned off his phone, and drove out the building.
How have you got any self-pride, man? Imagine people asking you, "Oh, how'd your fight go? Oh, I didn't fight. Why?" Well, I left the arena.
Yeah.
Jesus,
Jay sold a lot of tickets as well, and he had to explain to the crowd. It was horrible. It was a horrible feeling.
Man, and then he's obviously not going to get paid for all his hard efforts and shit. I keep saying to people, it's a great hobby, a poor career choice. Well,
I like that.
It's not as bad. It's not as bad now. Now there's a lot of lads, like myself and Joe included. They've got a lot of lads don't realise how good an opportunity they have now. The fact that Bellator Europe's came along.
Yeah.
Like, they have no idea how much that'll be a big game changer for a lot of the up and coming UK scene lads, I think. And like the likes of Joe there, his second pro fight was in Bellator. I had to graft 12 years for that, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, sure. I think, like I say, with Bellator, you're at the Jude Samuel's working hard to Ross Siegel's working hard. They're looking hard to really build that brand. I think they're getting a lot of leeway. So, like you say, them, Cage Warriors Academy, MTK are bringing up. There are opportunities, but like you say, I think it goes through peaks and troughs in terms of the shows. Like, one show do very well, then out nowhere it's gone, it's disappeared. But there's always someone ready to take place.
Even Cage Warriors aren't doing well. I'm sure they're still doing well, but it's nowhere near as big a thing as what it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think I think that Bellator is going to gradually just pull away from them all, man. That's where all the top lads in the UK will be aiming to fight for now, man. Because they get good money. Like, that was the best money I ever got for Bellator. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so, man, look, they are the premier. They're up there. There's sort of everyone's always said it goes UFC then Bellator, but you know, it's all becoming one. It's all sort of falling under the same bracket.
Man. There's killers everywhere, and there'll be people in the asshole of nowhere that we've never heard of that'll be fucking the next big thing. Or you might never even hear them.
Yeah.
The amount of people I've trained over the years that no one's even heard of, and they're just late to train and they're fucking killers.
Yeah,
You know
it's true. It's true. Who's there? There's a guy. He's got the second longest behind Khabib. He's got the second longest winning streak. He's in Bellator at the minute. A Russian guy, and you know,
God knows what his name is, like, but I know who you're on about.
But that's what I mean. Like, how do we not know? He's 23-0. How do we not know about? He should be a superstar, but he just keeps himself to himself. He stays quiet. He stays out of the limelight, and you know, it is one of those things. But there's, like you say, there's so many out there, mate. And while we're talking right now, there's some kid coming up who's going to be the next big thing. And that's the beauty of MMA and combat sports. You never. Like right now, who's the biggest thing in boxing? Like, you've got Canelo, you've got Terence Crawford, you've got Wild, like all these different weight classes. But guess what? In 5 years' time, it's all new people.
But then you can go through the being the next big thing, the fucking unheard of. Like, look at Aaron Pico now. He's meant to be the fucking cream of the crop, but he's had 2 losses now. Now people will not give a fuck about him, really.
Yeah,
that's
man.
The harshness of it all. People only want to back a winning horse, which is shite, man. And the other thing that annoys you about MMA as well is people only want to see you win for so long.
Yeah, as soon as you get to the pinnacle and you're winning, people just want to see you. Who's going to be the one who takes the zero? It's like, here we go, up to supporting the guys. Speaking of Bellator, have you seen who they just released? They just signed for his pro debut.
The rugby player.
James Haskell. Yeah, and I'm not a rugby guy. I know he's a pretty, but obviously a rugby guy is an athletic guy. I don't know how that's going, but it's interesting.
Well, I think he's done a bit of training for years, and he's clearly athletic. See what I mean? That'll tell you quite a bit. Because a lot of people get into fighting. When I started fighting, was all tough men that's done boxing or kickboxing or something before. It was all pretty much grassroots when I was starting. Like, there was only one black belt in Ireland when I first started, in comparison to what's about now. But you're also getting now people that would have been NFL athletes, rugby players. You're getting proper athletes involved in this shit now, man.
Yeah.
So,
it's true. And do you know what? He's fighting it in good gym. He's at London Shoe Fighters. They're a very good gym. Like you say, he's naturally athletic, and he's a heavyweight. Here's the thing with heavyweights. You can even in Bellator, you can find some journeymen to build yourself up a little bit. So fair play to him if he's going to do it. So we'll see what happens.
That's it. Listen, good on him if he wants to give it a go. Same with the likes of Aaron Chalmers, man. Loads of people give him shit because they wanted to see him lose. But here, I knew Aaron for years now. The first time I ever met Aaron was at a Thai boxing gym years ago. He's clearly always been interested in having a fight. And fair play to him for wanting to go and give it a go and trying something different. See what I mean? It doesn't work out for everybody, but at least he's went out and said, here, I've done this, I've tried it.
Yeah.
So same with this kid. He's clearly had an interest. He's been offered. I'm sure he'll get decent enough money because of who his name is. And he's got a good following. Good on him, hey, for trying something new.
Exactly, mate. And mate, like I said about Aaron, I got a lot of respect for Aaron. And the fact that he came back from a loss, even better. Like, he fought Corey Browning, Corey Browning, he beat some all right people. He's fighting Nick Newell next, and obviously Nick's a name. So fair play to Aaron Chalmers, and like I say, anyone who's sticking it out. In regards to yourself, then, mate. Obviously, I know you got some out at the end of the year, or is it now? Is the next fight going to be 2020?
No, I'll have another one before the end of the year, and then I believe Bellator is going to come back up to Newcastle the start of next year. So we'll get on that card, get another win, and then sign my contract, and then we'll see out the rest of my days, hopefully in Bellator. Or I would love one fight in KSW at least.
Oh, really? Why KSW? Just
Because it's a spectacle, man. Look at what the production they put on.
They sold it. It was 100,000 arena that they sold it.
Aye,
Right?
man. Unbelievable. Like big Phil DeFricio I trained with for years. He's over there. Kurt Warburton fought in KSW, and Paul Redmond's fought in KSW. I know, and they all said they got treated so well. And look at it, man. Imagine being able to look back in years and think, I fought in a couple of cool arenas. I fought in the Echo Arena, fought at the Metro Radio a couple of times. I fought in some cool arenas, but that's a spectacle. That would make your bollocks tingle. You sat at the edge of that big platform, like old Pride days, man. That's what it's about, man. A show. That would make you up for a fight. Like, look at the UFC. Their production value is terrible.
You can, like I said, ride off into the sunset and have some on the Bellator and KSW. But look, Tommy, mate, I appreciate the time. I really do. What's the rest of the day like for you? What you got planned?
Just chilling now. Go see a pal for some lunch now in the afternoon, and then coaching classes and PTs this evening.
Nice, man. Nice. I saw it was Joe's birthday. Yes, I saw Brad posting. So is there going to be a celebration after the after the next Saturday?
Even if it wasn't his birthday, there'd be a celebration after the fights. But I'm sure it'll be a double good birthday celebration. Eh? It'd be good for him, man. He's a good lad. He's only a young man, young beast. I've trained with some killers over the years, and I've never came across anybody as athletic as him.
Good to hear, man.
Ridiculous genetics.
Mate, it's gonna be a fun time. I'm looking forward to it, man. But look, enjoy yourself, mate. Enjoy the show. I hope everything works out well for you, and we'll definitely be having to catch up very, very soon.
No worries, Tom. Good to hear from you.
Cool. Have a good one, mate.
Take it easy, pal. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.